I'm sorry, any what?
I said, are you going to get paid extra today?
I like the way you think.
Hi, folks.
Hello.
Good evening. It's 6:30. Give it another minute or two. Looks like we're missing a few folks still, so give it another couple minutes.
Looks like we have a quorum, Ryan, so if you wanted to start.
All right, let's fire it up. Call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 14th, 2021 TCAC meeting. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're all doing well, enjoying the summer-like weather we're having today. It's not quite summer-like, it's not 95 degrees, but anyway. So the first item on our agenda is to consider the minutes from March. Any changes, clarifications, edits, etc. to the March minutes? Okay, I'm not seeing any raised hands. So
I move that we accept the minutes as written from the March 10th meeting.
I do see Tom with his hand up.
Oh,
okay,
Tom has his hand up.
yes, I see a raised hand too. Tom, go ahead.
It was for the purpose of making the motion that Kate just made, which I would like to second.
Wonderful. Okay, any further discussion? Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to. We'll move through the roster here for approval. So we will now vote to approve the minutes. Chris Cash. Not present, potentially. Scott Tcac.
Approve.
Renette.
Approve.
Adrian.
Approve.
Ham.
Approve.
Chris Mitchell. Perhaps not present. Okay. Tom Murphy.
Approve.
Tim.
Approve.
Kate.
Approve.
I approve. Elise. Okay, not present apparently. Chris Sholin.
Approve.
Justin.
Approve.
And Derek.
Approve.
Thank you very much. I don't think I missed anyone. Derek, it's good to see your face. I know what you look like now. Okay, and with that, the minutes are unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Now we'll call for non-agenda items. Does anyone have a non-agenda item they would just like to discuss under agenda item 11 later on in the meeting?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sorry, we're doing a call for non-agenda items, so we're trying to identify who might want to discuss what as far as what's not on the agenda later in the meeting, just to get a read on how much we might want to push things along to respect people's time at the, closer to the end of the meeting. So I think there was one non-agenda item proposed informally over email, I believe from Derek.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Derek, do you want to just give a one-sentence summary on what you'd like to discuss?
Parking and how it impacts businesses with our decisions.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Any other non-agenda items for discussion later? Okay.
This will fall under agenda item number 10, but I'll be discussing today just that Proud Ground is interested in coming to speak with the commission.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Okay. I don't see any other raised hands, so we'll move on to the public comment. Do we have any public commenters? Joe, do you know?
We haven't received any yet. Have you received any, Sean?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you. Follow up from the previous meeting. Sean, what have you got for us?
I do not have any follow-up.
Okay, Tom, go ahead.
Thank you. Ryan, to follow up on the report we received at the March meeting in regard to the Universal Plaza design update, I would like to take the opportunity to express my appreciation for your role in the design of the plaza from the very get-go, the first invitation for public participation in that design process. You were at the table and you've been at the table throughout. I was, I will admit, skeptical about having a California outfit steering that project because I believe that the plaza may well be the defining achievement of the downtown urban renewal district. We got to get it right. And your involvement has ensured that our community's perspectives and values are recognized in the design process. So, Ryan, thank you for your efforts.
Thanks, Tom. That's very generous of you. I did participate. I don't think that my involvement was of had any particularly outsized influence or anything, but I appreciate you saying that. I know you expressed early on your desire for me to stay involved, just given my background in landscape architecture, et cetera. So I appreciate that. And yeah, thanks. It's going to be a great project. A lot of great work has gone into it. The vast majority of it done by people other than myself. So thanks. Yeah, I think it's gonna turn out to be a keystone project for downtown, as you say, and a defining feature for downtown moving forward. So thanks for your thoughts on that, though. I do appreciate it. It's also worth calling out, I think, city staff's involvement in the project and just picking a consultant that really delivered the goods on a great design. They were very responsive. I mean, the whole approach to the project has been really creative from the outset, and I think that is really worthy of our recognition too. Just the interest in kind of trying to program the space in an ephemeral way to get people interested and involved and interacting with it during the design process. You know, that's a pretty new concept as far as how to design a public space. And I think the city staff and Rios working together did a really, really outstanding job on that. So I think that's probably where the vast majority of the credit belongs. But thanks again, Tom. Appreciate it. Okay, so looks like we have Lloyd Purdy joining us, which is excellent. Lloyd, thank you for being here. This was a suggestion from our Equitable Business Development Subcommittee. It's our first expert outside presenter that we've had, brought to us by one of our subcommittees. So I'm pretty excited to hear what Lloyd's got to share with us, and hopefully it'll inform our work and make it all the better. So Lloyd, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. And thanks for at least claiming I'm an expert. I'm not, but I'm doing the best I can for us here in the city. I guess I have two questions. One, Sean might have some content to start with. Sean, I can't remember if you were leading or not. And then two, if we're allowed to share screens, can a couple other people just share their video? Not everybody has to, but it helps me to see a face when I'm talking. So one request, if we're allowed to show video, a couple people, if you don't mind, give me a face to look at. And Sean, was there something you wanted to start with to kick us off with? Or thanks, Ryan. Was there something? Thanks, Kate. Was there any kickoff you wanted, or intro you wanted?
I was going to briefly remind the commission that in our next year's proposed TCDA budget for the Triangle, we do have requested $100,000 for an equitable business fund. We haven't really conceptualized how to spend that, how to program it. It is kind of limited by the fact that it's TIF, so there's restrictions about what it can be spent on. It's probably going to have to be more in the line of tenant improvements and facade improvements. But I think there's some potential overlap with the programs that Lloyd is about to describe with our citywide equitable business planning and programs. So once that budget is approved, we will, and hopefully working with the subcommittee on equitable business, start to decide how we want to spend that money, program it, and find the overlap with our citywide equitable business efforts.
Right. I think some of the ideas, programs, concepts I'm going to share with you in the next couple minutes, they might scale, they might be replicable, they might complement, and you'll I hope you'll find some interest. And I see a lot of new faces, new to me anyways. Again, Lloyd Purdy, I'm the city's economic development manager. I've worked for the cities for several years and then took a 2-year sabbatical, meaning I went somewhere else and came back 2 years ago because I couldn't stand not being in the city of Tigard. No, I really liked the work I was doing in Tigard, and I started to say, why did I ever leave? And here I am again, getting to work with Sean, my other colleagues, and residents like you. So thank you for all you are doing. I'm going to present some projects that we are rolling out, or that we have rolled out, or that we're thinking about rolling out. And then I want to hear from you, actually, what you think about some of these. There's actually 10 projects, so that's a lot. If you get bored, wave your hand or something and tell me to, cut this short. But there are projects I'm excited about, and I think you'll see this enthusiasm. These projects, I'm calling them our economic development plus equity projects. And they're very much driven by the city's updated strategic vision that has equity front and center. But it also talks about equity from the economic development perspective. What we're trying to do with these projects is to, one, localize our economic development programs. And what I mean by that is serving the entrepreneurs, the small businesses, the resident entrepreneurs that are in the city, not just the business owners that live elsewhere that happen to locate in Tigard because it's low rent for their business. And we have a lot of that. We have programs for Fott Steel, Agilix, Curtis Wright, Consumer Cellular. We have business programs like the Enterprise Zone to help the traded sector big businesses. But I realized a year ago, in the midst of COVID, when we were distributing almost $3.5 million in aid to businesses, that who we really need to help are our local entrepreneurs, our entrepreneurs that are traditionally underbanked and don't have access to the resources that the bigger corporations do, that are historically underserved. And it was absolutely that about a year ago when we started our COVID business assistance program that I had this aha, and it's allowed me to transform almost all of what we're doing. It's not that we're not doing the traditional economic development, it's a plus. We're doing that and these maybe 10 other projects. They all align with the strategic vision, and I'm going to tell you how. but I will again start with that Tigard Cares program. We about a year ago, City Council said, Lloyd, can you roll out very quickly a program to help businesses? Can you have, what will it take? Here's $200,000. You all know maybe that we have over 3,000 firms in the city, and even $200,000 doesn't go very far. But what I said to council was, well, how about we make that $300,000 in business support? And why don't I leverage that with partners like Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon and Craft 3? These are CDFIs, they're commercial lenders. We don't know them as residents, but they're bankers that are dedicated to commercial lending, and they lend to underbanked entrepreneurs of color, entrepreneurs who are typically underserved. We took that $300,000 and turned it into more than $1 million in fairly low interest loans, and then added on top of that, I think another $2.5 million of federal money that we got into the hands of local entrepreneurs. And that's what told me, yes, this is the right space for us to be in the city of Tigard. We're, as you all know, we're not Beaverton, Hillsborough. We don't have economic development budgets of $500,000 or more dollars. We have pretty limited economic development budget and urban renewal funding even. So we've got to really make the money we have impactful. So here's how I think we can be impactful. Let me tie this back to the strategic vision. One of the goals of the strategic vision is to make sure that businesses with an eye towards equity have access to market opportunities. So just before COVID, we started a program, and it's become a touchstone project for us. We started something called the Opportunity Cafe. We took that underutilized little 400 square foot micro cafe space at the library. And I took that space with the library director's permission, and I went to MISO, Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon. They have a long history of helping entrepreneurs of color get the financing they need, get the credit building they need, get the technical assistance they need. And I said to MISO, hey, how about you pay us rent? How about you pay us money? Well, why would they pay us money? Oh, because we're going to let you rent this, we will be your partner. You can rent this space to an entrepreneur that you're working with, provide them the technical assistance they need, maybe some of the financing they need, but get them an opportunity to live their dream and say, yeah, I do want to start a cafe. Let me start small. And let me start small at the Tigard Library. And let me spend 2 years figuring out how to run this business and building the financing I need, the credit I need. And here's how this program works. During the 2 years that they are an entrepreneur in residence in Tigard, they're getting business advising from Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon. They're getting introduced to the thousands of people who walk through the library as customers. And we start the rent small and we increase it over time so that after 2 years, we hope they come to me and say, Lloyd, I can't pay your rent for that 400 square feet. I can get the same or a better deal on the street. And we say, congratulations, you're ready to launch. We want businesses to launch out of that. Or if they don't make it after a couple months, they haven't mortgaged their house. They haven't sunk so much resources into this business idea that they're upside down. So this is a business incubator. It's the Opportunity Cafe. Yes, it's on hold right now during COVID, but we're simply in that holding pattern. So that's one of our equity-focused projects, and it's an equity focus because of the partners we're working with. I've mentioned MISO, Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon. I'll mention them a couple times. We're working with Adelante Mujeres, SBDC, SCORE, OAMI, Oregon Association of Minority Entrepreneurs, PDBG, a whole list. There's about 10, Accelerate Fund, a women's-only financing program. There's a list of about 10 partners we've assembled, and it's taken about 2 years to bring those partners into our ecosystem, our orbital path, and they now work with us. We refer businesses to them, but they also work with us. Or when I say, hey, how would you like to pay us rent? They say, Lloyd, tell me more. So that was the Opportunity Cafe, and keep that project in mind. We have other programs where we want to provide a market opportunity for local entrepreneurs. Some of you may have gone in the past to the Taste of Tigard Food Festival. That's a chance for local food producers to share their products with City of Tigard's 50,000 residents. When we do that program again, it's on hold because we're being cautious about COVID. But when we do it again, maybe later this year, we're going to add another element to that, where any entrepreneur that is in a business advising relationship with one of our business advising ecosystem partners will automatically reduce their entry fee. We're saying, hey, if you're taking the time to learn, to train, to skill up, we'll cover some of that entry fee cost for you. So that's turning a festival that everybody enjoys because it's centered on food that we created a couple of years ago. That's turning that into an economic development program. And it's also using an equity lens, again, because we're sourcing even some of the entrepreneurs from Adelante Mujeres, Miso, Hacienda, Mercy Corps, right? We're going to them and saying, if you have an entrepreneur that's ready to launch or ready to test a food product and you think they're ready, refer them into this program. So these are themes you're going to hear again and again. Let me circle back to another theme. It's our newest project. It's very exciting, I think. I mentioned the Opportunity Cafe. I started thinking, where else could the city do that? And you all know we don't have a lot of space. We're not flush with cafes and extra rooms that we could rent out. But I managed to secure about $70,000, and that's not enough to build a building. That's not enough to make a space. But you know what that's enough to do? Buy 2 mobile business incubators. Anybody want to guess what a mobile business incubator is?
Food truck.
Yep, it's a food cart. The trucks are more expensive. It's a food cart. We can probably buy 2 food carts. Yep. And we will run those just like the Opportunity Cafe. I will go to one of our business advising partners and say, why don't you pay us rent? You pay us some money, and then you sublet that space to an entrepreneur that you're working with, that you're advising with. We'll make sure that the barrier to entry is low with the rent. And speaking of Universal Plaza will be, as far as I can tell, the home for these 2 food carts. We know in the early design phase that many of you were involved in, I remember seeing many of you there. There's not the activation by the adjacent properties. There won't be a food provider there anytime soon. So in the meantime, this might very well be that. A food cart program at Universal Plaza that also acts as a business incubator. And again, same concept as the Opportunity Cafe. Another theme of the strategic vision is that we support businesses. So here's a program we rolled out with the blessing of City Council earlier this year. It's not going to be a surprise to you all. We said any new business in town that has not yet started or is getting ready to start, if you complete a business advising program with one of our partners, and there's about 10 of them, we'll waive your first year business license fee. If you can prove to us you've completed a training in the last 6 months, or even if you get it done in your first year, that's even better. Someone starts a business and they say, oh gosh, now I know I need help. I thought I could do this. I need a QuickBooks training. I need marketing help. I need some type of program. Even within their first year of business, if the business says, it can prove to me they've gone through a training, we will then waive their business license fee. So for the city of Tigard, for a small entrepreneur that's operating out of their home, or it's a shop of 1 or 2 or 3 people, that's $100 to $200 for the city. Not a big foregone loss with revenue. We can cover that, and that business will be more successful because they're not just starting a business on a whim. They're going through training. They're finding the business network they need to succeed. So again, a way to reduce the barrier to entry and encourage entrepreneurs to connect with the resources they need. A similar program is something our colleague Sean's and our colleague Dylan has been managing, called Los Empresarios de Tigard. Basically, it's a Spanish language version of some of these programs, but we have a growing population of Hispanics, Latinx entrepreneurs in Tigard, and so we're preparing programs that meet these entrepreneurs where they are, and that often means a Spanish language program. So this is a networking program. It will become a business advising program, not from us, but from one of our business advising partners who can deliver programs in Spanish. That's 5 programs right there. A couple more. We started during COVID a business advising webinar series. What's interesting about that is we didn't do it all on our own. I went to Forest Grove, Sherwood, Wilsonville. In fact, I invited every city in the county to participate, but those 3 smaller cities said, yeah, well, Lloyd, we'll join you. What we do here is we offer every other month a 1 to 1.5 hour topical webinar that's business related for basically anybody that shows up. And maybe that's me being magnanimous and generous, but you know, we're hosting somebody on a webinar like this. Does it matter if someone from Portland or Beaverton is listening in? No. You know, that's one aha with our remote operations, is we learned we can scale fairly easily with things like video conferencing. So in this case, every other month, Forest Grove, Wilsonville, Sherwood, and the City of Tigard, we promote out to our business network whatever program is scheduled for that month, and anybody that participates can, you know, join in that webinar. So we're saving some time of travel. We're getting a bigger audience of entrepreneurs from this part of the region skilling up and learning and meeting a potential business advising partner. Related to that, we are about to roll out a scholarship program to businesses, so for business training. So instead of just bringing in one business advising partner in a month and trying to figure out or hope that that's going to be what a business needs, we do that too. We won't stop doing that, but we're also going to say, hey business, you tell us what training you want. As long as you're working with one of these 10 business advising partners that we have confidence in, SBDC, SCORE, MISO, Adelante Harris. Again, it's a list that we've defined. As long as you're working with them and taking one of their courses, as long as we have some funding for it, we'll sponsor that, or we'll provide a scholarship for that. And again, the beauty of that is it's not us telling a business what they need to learn. It provides it decentralizes things and provides that flexibility so that an entrepreneur can say to me, hey, you know that Get Your Recipe to Market course that SBDC offers? I think I'm ready for that. Okay. You know, instead of trying to get 5 or 10 other people together to do that in Tigard and bring that program in here, we'll say, great. If you're ready, we'll meet you on your terms and we'll help you. So that, again, is under the theme of making sure that we're supporting businesses, that businesses can easily connect to resources, that we're building authentic relationships with our partners. These are key themes in the strategic vision. A couple more innovative, actually, and more exciting projects. Part of the strategic vision, as it relates to economic development, focuses on economic mobility. And this is where it gets really exciting for me. How do we build a local, resilient economy? How do we create equitable economic opportunity? How do we help our residents, not just the people that decided to locate here, a business here, but then go back to downtown Portland, like Oswego or Beaverton when they're done at the end of the day? How are we growing economic value and wealth for our residents? And we have 2 programs we are trying to figure out that relate to that. One is called the Community Investment Trust. It's a program, the CIT. It's a program created by Mercy Corps Northwest. Here's what it does. It's actually a wealth transfer program. Mercy Corps Northwest or some legal entity, they buy a building, a commercial building. And then they let everybody in the same zip code know, and that would be anybody that's a resident of Tigard. We really only have 1, maybe 2 zip codes. They say, you can invest in this building, $10 a month. Very approachable. This is basically an REIT, a REIT, but it's not buying property in New York. It's the community buying a local commercial asset and inviting local residents to participate at a very approachable rate. So approachable that we hope almost anybody could invest in it, so that we're creating an opportunity for building of equity and wealth generation, not just for wealthy residents who can invest in the stock market, but anybody, you know, at anywhere from $10 to $100 a month. This becomes doubly important when we look at the increasing number of renters in the city or affordable housing projects, where we want those residents to be here and be comfortable, but they're not building equity if you're renting or in an affordable housing project. But maybe you can still build equity the way much of us have built equity through property. For most of us, it's our home, but in some cases, maybe it could be a commercial, a community-owned commercial property. There's a lot of complications to this. As with any real estate deal, the challenge will be finding a property that's affordable at the right basis point. But it's a very exciting idea, and they have one program in Portland. It might scale nationally, but Mercy Corps is interested in maybe doing it in their own backyard, and so we're working hard to see if that has some legs or some viability in Tigard. With urban renewal, you all know the challenges of property acquisition and the commercial landscape. It's probably harder in our community than in Portland or in some other communities. The other really interesting project that I'm excited about, again, that focuses on residents, is a workforce development project. This is a project that would focus on adult learning incumbent workers with a career pathway. Adult learners. This isn't for someone that just came out of high school or college. This is for somebody that's, let's just say, mid-career. Adults like all of us, well, we're mostly all adults here. Incumbent employee, you already have a job, but you have a career pathway. Think of a low-wage earner at any company, somebody that's great as a front desk receptionist, but their employer says, boy, if they had QuickBooks training, we could advance them. Or, if they had some design, AutoCAD or graphic design skill, we could move them up. This is providing probably a scholarship for an Tigard resident who is also a Tigard employee at a Tigard company that is an adult learner, incumbent employee that has a career pathway. Their employer would come to us and say, we have a Tigard resident. They're employed here in our company, here in Tigard. We think they have potential. They need a QuickBooks training. And I would say, well, how much money are you going to put in business? And they would tell me. And how much money is the employee going to put into their education? And they'd have to tell me. And I'll say, okay, we'll put $1 into, for instance. Key to this is working with a group, I think, like IRCO, immigrant refugee, I forget their whole acronym. IRCO has a thing called a IDA, an individual development account. It's a savings account tied to things like education, where over a couple of months, we could be dripping some money in, the employer can drip some money in, the employee who wants to advance their career can drip some money into this program. And then after a couple of months, they can afford to go to the certification, the training, the whatever it is they need. So that's, again, a workforce development project that's not your typical workforce development project, though it's not all my idea. OHSU developed something about a year ago or 2 or 3 years ago called the Northwest Promise. It did something similarly. They took low-paying frontline employees and skilled them up into a career pathway within the same company. We would do the same thing. We just wouldn't limit it to one employer. We would open this up to any Tigard employer that has a Tigard resident working for them that can and wants to advance. So again, another strong equity but economic development project that's localizing economic development and focusing on, it's inclusive, but it also has a strong equity lens. Additionally, we'll continue to, Sean and I and Dylan will continue to run the Enterprise Zone program, the Vertical Housing Development Zone program. We're also working on a zoning project that won't include the Triangle or downtown, but it will redefine land use and zoning for all the other employment areas in the city. So along with standard economic development and economic development plus equity, we're also looking at some of the fundamentals of the city, which are zoning. As you all know, no one else can do. The city has a monopoly on zoning. We have to get zoning right in order to see the business mix we want to see here, in order to see employment opportunities and jobs for people. So we're staying busy. So with all that said, I ran through 10 projects very quickly because I'm not sure how interested you all are in these. I'm happy to elaborate on any one or hear your thoughts on any of these, or start it all over again and talk for another 20 minutes. No, I don't do that.
Lloyd,
A couple of hands there.
yeah, thank you so much. That was incredible. I think you just supercharged one of our subcommittees in a major way, and the commission in general. You're up to some really, really amazing stuff, and I think we want to do whatever we can to support you and your city colleagues in all of these endeavors. Each of them has just incredible promise and potential, and man, it's just super exciting. So yeah, let's take some hands. Tom, did you have your hand up for something additional, or is that a residual hand up there? Tom Murphy.
Looking for my unmute button. No, I forgot to take my hand down.
No problem. Okay, I think we've got Derek. We've got Derek and then Adrian.
Yeah, this is Derek. My internet's a little off. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I just wanted to know, this all sounds fantastic. I actually went through the workshop with PCC and the Mercy Corps myself. One of the things that I ran into was just finding the stuff on my own. It's kind of a hunting expedition. I've also had a number of people talk to me about wanting to start business in Tigard. Because I own a bar, I talk with people often. And they want to know, well, what are the perks? So I go over all the perks that I had, all the perks that I know. And it sounds like there's going to be quite a bit more invested in these perks. Is there an additional investment to update the Tigard website? To just really throw that out there. Hey, if you're wanting to start a small business or if you want to open up a business in Tigard, here's all that we have to offer. Here's who you talk to. Just come on down. Just really help onboard all these small business owners. Hopefully, is that something that's going to be added?
Yeah, good question. We do that. We are doing that, and we do that one step better these days. Every month, I get a list of the new businesses who have started. We send them a welcome packet that includes the list of business advising resources. We do that both in English now and in Spanish. Dylan takes care of that for me. So we are updating the website again, and the city's going through a whole website update. But we've become much more intentional about putting programs of support in front of businesses. What you might see that we don't ever see is the people who are just thinking about going into business, and that's why that website update is so important. So yes, we are doing that. I also forgot to mention, by the way, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I tell people all the time, and I know other people that are opening bars and restaurants, and I tell them this is what, a few miles away, this is the issues that they had in Portland and Multnomah County, opening up the same type of business or something similar. And I keep telling people, give Tigard a shot. And they ask me the same thing. Who should I talk to? Where should I go? And I'm like, well, I've got these.
I lost some of your internet there, Derek. So what Dylan and I do is we act as that as best we can, that referral partner. And by the way, keep sending people our way. We will connect an entrepreneur or a budding entrepreneur to all the resources we have. I forgot to mention on Los Empresarios de Tigard that we have a local hero amongst the meeting right now. Adrian helped Dylan form that program just over a year ago. So Adrian, you might have a question, or you might want to tell everybody a little more about Los Empresarios, your choice. And then I know Elise has a question.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I wasn't going to turn on the video because I'm so casual today. I didn't meet with anyone, so I was able to wear a t-shirt. Anyway, yes, Los Empresarios. We've been working on this program. We just got some cards printed with the idea of number one, building awareness around the program and really knocking on doors, inviting people, having them feel welcome to the Los Empresarios community. So that's the reason for those cards, and just to get out and welcome everyone to like our Facebook page. And I encourage you guys all to do that as well. It's Facebook Los Empresarios de Tigard. And part of there's many aspects of it, right? But for now, it's build awareness, build a community, unite a voice, and also one of the things that I would love to do is take some time to recognize some of our businesses in the community that have been around for a long time. I'm sure you guys have all been to Sanchez Taqueria. They're such a pillar in the community, and as I talk to people, I mean, we have people that come from Salem. We have people that come from Gresham to eat at this restaurant that we have in our backyard. And so there are a few like that, a few businesses like that we want to highlight and really recognize in the program, and also build a mentorship program around them, and figure out how we can help some of the younger businesses thrive and succeed just like they have. So anyway, just wanted to throw a couple of things out there like that, and also share and invite you guys to visit the page where we will be actively putting some cool information up there. So yeah, that's about it.
And we're tying Los Empresarios to some new programming that Dylan will tell you about soon, Adrian. He has some good news for you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Elise, did you have a?
Yes, I have a question about the Community Investment Trust Program by Mercy Corps. You're currently looking for a Tigard building, you said, that people can invest in. So what are the parameters for a building that you are looking to invest in? Is it new? Is it something that needs to be remodeled, invested into? What is that?
Right, good question. We're not quite at that stage yet. That would be a very first step of a CIT project, is for a legal entity created by Mercy Corps, let's just call it the Tigard CIT, would buy and acquire a building. And maybe that requires some extra support from this tax increment finance district. The key to that usually is that it's priced low enough or affordable enough that you can start developing equity on it pretty early, whether through sweat equity, where it's the community improving things. They've never tried it before with a market rate building, and that's something we're asking them to explore. How might we run a CIT with a new building that's a part of a affordable housing complex, or a new building that's a part of something else? So we're still in that very preliminary phase, but ultimately that is the key. If Mercy Corps says we can't find a property in Tigard we can afford, then the community investment trust model doesn't work, because the community investment trust isn't putting money into buying the building. I mean, they do, but the key is that it's dispersing the revenue, the profit from that into the community. So that was an aha for me, at least. I'm just sharing with you, my aha was, this isn't a way to fund the acquisition of a building. It's a way to make sure that the owners of the building are the community, the neighbors. So I don't know how, we have to talk to them more about, well, how would you round up the $1 million you need to buy a building in Tigard in a TIF district or not? And that's something we're going to have to spend some money to figure out, in fact, is how could it work? So I don't know the answer to your question. I'm telling you all the things we don't know about that, but it's an exciting thing to think about.
Because
yeah, go ahead.
I've always had, if I had the money, I would buy the historic First Bank of Tigard building. Tigard Downtown Alliance has talked about in the past turning that into one of those shared office complexes where you could
Right.
have meeting rooms and shared office space, and that it could be an actual revenue maker.
Right. And that is a key to the CIT concept, is that, you know, every square foot of that has to make money. The goal is to make money for the community. So you probably
But
need
it
a
would
mix-
take considerable investment back into that building.
and that, yeah,
Mhm.
that may have to happen in some cases. But I could foresee something that has some retail frontage and some office. That's what they do in their Portland building, the one building they have launched. They have a mix of tenants. They're all paying rent and generating the profit that then the neighbors get to benefit from. But they're building equity, they're building wealth. So good questions. Can I pop over to
Yes, thank you.
Tom? Okay, thank you, Elise. Tom, my old friend Tom, you have a question?
I do, Lloyd. There may be folks on the commission now who aren't aware of how steeped in urban renewal you are. You know well enough what we can do, you know, the limitations on what we can do, that, you know, for the most part, it's dirt, sticks, and bricks. On the other hand, urban renewal does have the capacity to provide some resources. What I'm wondering about is what you view as the natural synergies between your role and urban renewal. And this isn't something that I'm necessarily expecting an answer right now, but I'd like you to maybe tuck it away and consider it. What should we be working together on? Because from perhaps somewhat different and largely complementary angles, we're seeking the same thing.
Right. I think it is complementary, and you all don't know this, but I talk to Sean at least every other day, and when we're in the same office every day, so we're in pretty good alignment. I will take a stab, Tom, at actually answering your question of, you know, if you asked me that today, you know, where should we be collaborating? It would be on things like this CIT, and it would be on things like even the business incubator, those food carts that act as business incubators. Think how something like that could complement a Tiger Triangle park or public space that needs to be acquired. And I know Sean is actively working on that. So, you know, think about how we can take a investment in Tiger Triangle park space that the Triangle needs, but then add in a business incubator concept, and doing the business incubator at Universal Plaza should be the pilot or the test for, okay, can we do that at somewhere like at an urban renewal property in the Tiger Triangle? So those are two examples. There's some others that'll come about if we secure some funding from the Fed that we're asking for. So I will say yes, Tom. I will bring back to Sean, as he knows, whenever we think there's an opportunity for collaboration, we'll do that. The other program that Sean and I have already started talking about is the $100,000 business assistance program, and how we might do something rather complicated with that. He and I want to spend some more time thinking about it before I think, roll a concept out to you. But yes, there's absolutely ways that urban renewal, tax increment financing, and economic development can and should collaborate.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Yes, sir.
And I'm delighted that you're back with the city.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's good to hear your voice. Hem, do you have a question or a thought or a comment?
Yeah, that's an amazing number of programs that you are running, and that's a very commendable job you're doing. But the question I had was, in this Mercy Corps program, the building, the city owns the building. Who ends up owning the building?
Good question. The city, the property is owned initially by a new legal entity, Mercy Corps Tigard CIT. And then over time, the shareholders, the neighbors everybody in the zip code that wants to invest in it becomes an owner. So that's how they build equity. They raise money. The money raised initially buys out Mercy Corps so that the neighborhood becomes, and when I say neighborhood, I mean the whole zip code or 2 zip codes. The residents become the owners of the building. So it's a wealth transfer mechanism. It's a way to make sure that neighbors are investing in local commercial property that they shop at, that they sip coffee at, that they frequent and benefit from. So does that make sense? Eventually the community owns the property because the community buys out the initial investor. And that's how I understand it works. And I don't know much more than that.
It makes sense, but that's going to be a very complicated financial instrument to take care of that ownership change over time.
It is, and they've done it before, and they have some good legal counsel in Portland. I don't know the name of the firm that helps them figure this out, but you're right. It's a rather complicated legal instrument. Adrian,
time for.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to say we got time for one more question, and then we're going to have to move on. Adrian?
Okay.
Yeah, so just something that occurred to me, and I just right now, but are we doing anything as a city and as a commission to take a pulse of the existing businesses and how they're doing and surviving through COVID and the tail end of COVID? It's great to recruit new businesses, but what are we doing to maintain our businesses?
Right. Almost every program I mentioned is more about localizing our program and helping existing businesses than it is about recruiting new ones, right? Any of the training programs I mentioned, we're rolling them out to help the businesses that are here, for instance. So we're very much now centering on working with our existing business community, more so than just looking for that next business from out of the area. Now, some of that is helping entrepreneurs that are here make sure that they not just think about being here, but get here. We haven't done, well, we've just completed a surveying tool that Lauren Scott managed for us that was asking for input from businesses. And Adrian, that's why we do the monthly invite to join Dylan and me. We invite every new business in town to meet with us over coffee, virtual coffee anyways these days, and tell us what's going on, what's on their minds. With COVID, it's a little bit harder to do the other types of open houses or even business visits. I haven't been able to do those in over a year. Usually in normal times, we would be doing business visits. And as you know, the other great program that Dylan is, again, moving forward with is Empresarios de Tigard, where we do, at least virtually, gather a community together, because that is important. So I think you bring up probably one of the areas where we have a little less strength on, and some of that I'm going to blame on COVID.
Sure.
We don't do we haven't done the bankers, brokers, builders network where we used to get a lot of these partners together. But again, the one thing I'm excited to be continuing to do is that new entrepreneur, new business owner monthly chat. We just, Dylan and I spend at least a half hour talking with any of the new businesses that show up. We'll probably scale that up to do at the end of the quarter, we'll do a bigger group. So there's ways to improve upon that. If there's some other thoughts you have in mind, then by all means, let me know.
Yeah, no, I want to, if there is a survey out there, I wanted to be able to direct people in that direction.
Yeah, we don't currently have a survey open. We've been doing some for that Tigard Made project that asks businesses about their location decisions.
Yeah.
And then the other intel, the other information I rely upon is it's our business advising partners. When Adelante Mujeres tells me they think there's a need for a program in Tigard, I take that seriously. Or when MISO does that, or when SBDC does that. So that's another partnership we have, is the ecosystem of business advising partners who do have their fingers on the pulse of the business community. So yeah,
Lloyd,
I
I want
appreciate
to
that, Lloyd, and also just want to quickly say I am also very glad that you're back with
Oh.
the city. Yeah.
Lloyd, thank you so much for being generous with your time tonight and sharing all this really exciting information with us. I think this is going to generate a lot of conversation within the commission moving forward. And yeah, just keep up the great work. It's really exciting. And I mean, this is exactly the kind of work that we as a commission want to support in any way we can. So thank you for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Thank you all for the work you do as volunteers, as residents. I appreciate that. I hope you have a good meeting and a good evening.
Thanks, Lloyd. Okay. Sean, you want to kick off the discussion of the Torchwood Development Assistance proposal?
Yes, thanks, Ryan. So in your packet, I included a memo and then the application that Community Partners for Affordable Housing submitted requesting $500,000 in development assistance. And just a brief recap, they made a presentation last month, but to remind you, there's a 1.5 acre property off 99W, and SEPA is planning to build 42 units. They would serve families making between 30 and 60% of AMI. They'd range in size from studios to 4 bedrooms. And those 3 and 4 bedrooms are really in short supply in the affordable housing world. And they are applying for a variety of funding mechanisms, most notably the 9% low-income housing tax credit. And reviewing their application and using our scoring matrix with the criteria for the first time, our scoring matrix really does privilege, as it should, affordable housing, and just about any project that applies that has affordable housing would qualify. So we might want to maybe rethink that scoring system or make it a little more competitive. But on the other hand, we do have $1 million appropriated specifically to support affordable housing development. So, just quickly going through the criteria, as I mentioned, affordable housing, get 10 points per unit. And at 42, they are at 420 points already. The other goals, because SEPA is applying early in the process, and their plans are not finalized, so unable to evaluate things like public amenities and high quality urban design. Those plans are going to come. But the next criteria, equitable economic opportunities, they are saying they're looking for a 25% minority and women-owned business participation, and that's been their experience in their other projects. So we would expect that, and gave them 30 out of 35 for that. Again, placemaking, local identity, don't have those plans to evaluate yet. Improves multimodal connections. It is located in walking distance to the high-frequency bus line along Pacific Highway. So I gave them 25 for that, 35. And then the mitigating environmental stormwater issues, they are intending to get an Earth Advantage Gold certification. So that's, you may be more familiar with LEED certification for green buildings. This is a different one. It's, I don't know that it's easier to get, but it requires less, I think, documentation and effort, paperwork to file. But it is a well-respected certification. So gave him 30 for that. And Again, this is not located in a Tigard priority area, which we're currently defining as the area around 72nd, 68th, Dartmouth to Baylor. But as you see, they easily qualified 505 points. So finding that they met the criteria, I'm recommending that they be awarded the $500,000, and they're estimating the total project cost is going to be $26 million. So this is playing a small but important role. And a little first time for us, for Tigard, is that we are putting our money in early, in fact, to help them buy the property. And the way the agreement will be written, if it is approved by the board at the end of the month, would be that it would be in the form of a forgivable loan that they would have to. It would only become forgivable when the project actually happened. If the project, for whatever reason, did not happen, then we would get our money back. So that is slightly new for us, but we have a city attorney working on that, working with SEPA's attorney, and if the board approves that agreement, then that would be executed. So tonight, the way we've set up this process is that I've made my recommendation going through the criteria, and then asking the Town Center Advisory Commission to consider whether they want to recommend this development assistance to the board. And the board would take the final action approving the development assistance. So with that, if there's any questions or comments or discussion, now would be the time. Elise.
Hi, Sean. I would like to move that based on the completed projects that have demonstrated not only sustainability, beauty, community sharing that SEPA has all over the city, that we recommend to the board to assist them with the property purchase.
Okay, so we have a motion. I have to admit, I'm not adept enough to know whether we should address more raised hands first, or ask for a second and then discuss further, or, sorry, I'm a little rusty on my procedures here. Kate has her hand raised, so I'm inclined to call on Kate to not dismissing your motion, Elise. We'll come back to it for sure.
My question is, we're considering $500,000 to give to SEPA. What portion of our budget is that, and what will we have left for other projects?
So for this fiscal year, we have $980,000 available. So this would be half of that basically, but we have requested a similar amount for next year. So we do know there are other projects that are coming down the line, but they probably won't be in a position to apply until next fiscal year, which starts July 1st.
But we would still have $480,000
yes.
if one of those projects came to pass.
Correct.
Okay. In that case, I second Elise's motion.
And Sean, just to clarify, the remaining 480,000 is just the earmark for affordable housing, correct?
Yes, that's right. The Affordable Housing Development Fund.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for the second. Kate, is there any Any further discussion or questions that people would like to bring up before we take it to a vote?
Scott has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Scott, go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to second the motion, so.
Great. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Kate, you have your hand raised. Is that you want to unraise it or bring up something else? Okay. Great. So, without seeing any further hands raised, it seems that it's time to take this to a vote. So, Elise, would you like to state your motion just clearly one more time for folks, please?
I will do my best. I would like to move that based on the past history the city has with all of the SEPA projects that have been done within the city based on sustainability, beauty, and community. And those are the three things I can think of right now, as well as the fact that they're all affordable housing. I would like to move that. We ask the board to assist them in the purchase of this property.
Okay. It seems that we're ready to vote on the motion then. Unless it needs to be seconded again, which I don't think is necessary, but I'm not a parliamentarian, of course. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Scott.
Approve.
Renette.
Approve.
Adrian.
Approve.
Hem.
Approve.
Tom.
Abstain.
Tim.
Approve.
Kate.
Approve.
I approve. Elise.
Approve.
Chris.
Is that Chris Scholing?
Chris Scholen, yeah.
Yeah, approve.
Justin.
Oh, Justin is
Approve.
Justin's a non-voting.
Yeah.
Ex officio. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you.
Derek.
Approve.
Okay. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. It's an exciting project. I'm glad we're getting something in under the wire on the fiscal year. That's great. And just the ability to continue to support what has been such an amazing community partner it's just great. It's really exciting. It's exactly why we're here.
Tom,
Okay.
Tom, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Just to avoid any confusion, I abstained on that vote for anybody on the commission who isn't aware of this. I'm in real tight with SEPA and have been for a long time. I don't regard it as appropriate to vote on something like this, especially a money matter where SEPA is involved.
Thank you, Tom, for that clarification. Okay. So we have the next item on our agenda is the TCAC goals first quarter update. Sean, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. So, yeah, in your packet, I made a table listing the goals for 2021 and what progress has been made. So for the aspirational goal, that's such an overarching goal that didn't think it made sense to do an update there because, covers everything we're doing. So in the first goal on affordable housing, listen to affected stakeholders, learning the needs and identifying opportunities and constraints. That's ongoing. There's later will come up, a subcommittee has formed around that topic. Recommending specific programs, innovations, and policies to city staff and council. I encourage development of and preservation of affordable housing. So tonight, I guess that is action that has been taken. I'm recommending development assistance. And there are a member that is participating in the alongside Senior Housing Committee, which is an ongoing project. And connectivity and transit goal, defining, prioritizing, and recommending opportunities for development and improve living and working and foster walkability. Ongoing on all those counts, different projects like the Main Street, Green Street Phase 2. Promoting ongoing efforts towards multimodal connectivity across and between the districts. I know the subcommittee has been very active on that, and Hem has been in contact with a couple of our staff people who will be working on the Red Rock Creek Trail project. There's some opportunities there. We did have that project that was literally going to connect our urban renewal districts with the Southwest Corridor, multimodal path alongside the light rail overpass, the bridge. But as that is uncertain, postponed, we're not sure how to accomplish that. It might have to wait until that project is revived. Go ahead.
Do you want me to handle the subcommittees part?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So formation of subcommittees, we have formed those. That's excellent. I think we're already seeing the benefits of just going a little deeper into these issues, and the energy around each of them has been really inspiring to me personally, and I just think it's exciting. I mean, here we are, in April, and I just feel like we're moving along in a good clip, and the subcommittees individually, I hope those of you who are involved in them, I hope you're finding it fruitful and meaningful. So researching and reviewing work relevant to each area of emphasis, bringing that to the whole commission. That's obviously ongoing. Elevating, centering, and supporting previously marginalized voices. So this is a bit of an elusive one that I think each subcommittee is going to be needing to kind of figure out how they pursue that. So I guess I would offer, if any subcommittee members want to speak to this goal, in terms of how your subcommittee is elevating, centering, and supporting marginalized voices, I'd love to hear it. It'd be great. So would anyone like to speak to that on behalf of their subcommittee? Okay, sounds like we might have some room for growth there. That's fine and to be expected. We're again just getting these off the ground. So, but something to think about. How do we go about doing that? I certainly don't have answers, but we have a lot of great experience and expertise on the commission and in each subcommittee to get at that. So I hope that we will. And then finally, serving as the commission's content experts for each of the areas that we've chosen to focus on, bringing in outside presenters, check, recommend reading and resources for TCAC members. That's ongoing, and we just heard from Lloyd. That was excellent. exactly the kind of thing I think envisioned by this goal. And Justin is, Justin, why don't you go ahead and speak to the opportunity coming up with Proud Ground?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we just last meeting we brought to the commission that the housing subcommittee would like to speak to Proud Ground and just get some information on what their organization can bring of value to the city of Tigard. They're already working in the River Terrace project, so we thought it'd be nice to have them come in and just speak to us to see where we can use them. I reached out to them. And they are more than excited to come and present to the entire commission because last month, as we presented it, I recall it being mentioned that it would be nice for them to come to the entire commission, which is great. And they also would like to, we'll be able to answer questions. So come prepared with any questions you have for that land trust organization there. Proud Ground, and Ryan and Sean, they should be coordinating on what month and which meeting they will be attending with us.
Yes, we will be doing that for sure. Thank you, Justin. So yeah, overall, I think the subcommittee goal is well on its way to having been fully accomplished. And yeah, there's always work to do, but you know, we're off to a good start in that regard, I would say. So thanks for everybody's additional effort and time that they've devoted to the subcommittee participation. And I'm looking forward to just reflecting back on whether that is a model we want to continue moving forward in subsequent years. So thanks. I can just continue through this. So regarding goals pertaining to downtown, participating in the implementation of the development strategy, updated 5-year plan, that's ongoing. Providing appropriate levels of support for the substantial amendments, which we'll be hearing about shortly. We recommended approval to the TCDA, so we're good there. Driving existing projects to completion is an ongoing thing. Supporting projects identified in the CIP. Again, ongoing, big projects in the works, very exciting. On the triangle, participating in the implementation of the Equitable Urban Renewal Strategy Plan. The development agency accepted that as a guide, so that's great. With our support, continue to provide financial support for projects. We just did that moments ago. That's exciting. And promoting and supporting projects that are identified for future years, ongoing. So, Elise, you have your hand raised.
Yes, Ryan, I was just going to refer back to that one opportunity you wanted to elevate, center, and support previously marginalized voices. Our parish community participates in an organization called MACG. It's social justice, and we're following legislative things that are happening at the state level right now. And there's some housing bills, and one in particular to provide first-time home buyer assistance to people in the BIPOC community, an Indigenous community, in order to help them get into housing and purchase housing. And so that's going to be an opportunity, especially with the expansion out off of River Terrace. The Proud Ground Habitat for Humanity out there, a lot of people are going to be able to get first-time homeowner assistance, and that's House Bill 79 that's pending right now. Just wanted to pop that in there.
Thank you, Elise. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, anything else on the first quarter goals before we move on? Yeah, thanks again, everyone. I know it's additional time and energy, but I hope you all feel it's worth it. Okay, Sean, do you want to give us an update on the substantial amendment?
Sure. We've started our public education campaign. We've so far I've given talks to the Youth Advisory Committee, Parks and Recreation Board on Monday night, who reacted very favorably to it. And tomorrow night I'm talking to the Library Board. So just providing the factual information about what the ballot measure does. And then there's going to be a presentation to Tcac the first Wednesday of May. On April 28th, the Chamber is hosting a panel that will feature the mayor and our own Kate Rogers as panelists to talk about what the amendment would do. And then if you are a podcast listener, Tigard has its own podcast called Talking Tigard, and the most recent guest was our chair, Ryan, who talked mainly about the benefits of urban renewal. And I guess let people know of the ballot measure without outright advocating for it. We also have a video that having to have it reviewed by the Secretary of State to make sure it is unbiased is really taking some time, but we have our last round of edits and do have a rough cut of the video. But I'm hoping that by beginning of next week, it'll be on the web page, and I'll send out a link to that when it's up there. A little frustrating, just the time it takes back and forth. So I also sent out a few days ago a speakers kit that provides, factual information about the amendment that you should feel free to use. You happen to be a member of any, group in Tigard that might be interested using that as just the factual information. And of course, on your own time and without mentioning your affiliation with the TCAC, you can advocate for it or against it as you see fit. But yeah, that speaker's kit is a pretty good toolkit, just with all the basic information about what's been accomplished and what the amendment would do if it passes and what would happen if it did not pass. So yeah, May 18th is coming up quickly, and that's my presentation. Any
Thanks,
questions
Sean.
or comments?
Renette, I see your hand. I just have a question for Sean first. Sean, on let's see, it's under talking points on page 3 of the kit. It's entirely possible I'm just wrong on this, but my understanding is that the existing limit on urban renewal, the maximum indebtedness is $22 million, and we're proposing to elevate it by 20.8 million. Is that right?
Yeah, you have. That's a typo.
Okay,
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I haven't entirely lost all of my elementary school math skills. So there's a typo in the first bullet under about measure 34305. Should be 42.8 million, I believe.
Yes, that is right. I'll send out a revised version of that. Unfortunate.
Thanks. Okay, go ahead, Renette.
Oh, thank you. I just had a question. I noticed in the most recent issue of the Tiger Life newspaper that they had an article in there about, I guess, the #1 selection for the city to move its, I guess, the city yard where they keep all the vehicles and everything once they build the new building, and that the owner of that property is resistant, I would say, to put it mildly, to that proposal. And I didn't know if maybe you had an update on that.
So just to be clear, that's not an urban renewal project. It is a proposal that would have to go to the voters, a bond that would build a new city facility, and that would necessitate a new public works yard. So I know, they're interested in the property, and there will be negotiation over that. That's as much as I know. I haven't really been too involved in that project.
Sean, Councilor Goodhouse here. I can jump in on this.
Yes.
So the article, in order to build what Sean was mentioning, in order to build the consolidated city hall, we're going to have to move public works and find a new location, and we're looking at about 8 acres. And in government speak, when you're looking at or you want to talk to a property owner, the process you have to go through is something along the lines of, in eminent domain, you got to start the process. Doesn't mean you're doing it, but almost to have the conversation or talk with a property owner or start investigating or looking at a property, you need to go through those processes. And so the Tiger Life put that article in there, and we were going to have a council meeting on that, whether or not they decide to go forward. But we've hit a pause on it, and so we're still looking at locations. So some people saw that, and the way the article is written was thinking that it was a done deal, that we were going in, taking that property. That's not happening at all. We're in the processes of talking with property owners, taking a look, because as it's done in prior presentations, with the city having such a large amount in an urban renewal district in the downtown area is not the best place to have a public works yard. So we're looking at relocating that so that new city hall can be built, and then we can do housing or so forth there.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Counselor. Any other questions or comments on the update from Sean? Well, this time next month, we'll be right on the cusp of voting for it, or will we already have voted for it? I can't remember what the date is exactly, but it's coming right up.
Yeah. And Talking Tiger is available on your Apple podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thanks for the pitch, Sean. I have to say my explanation of the Equitable Business Development Subcommittee was a little limited in scope after what we heard from Lloyd tonight. So your forgiveness is appreciated in advance. Okay, so we're on to subcommittee updates. Would any subcommittee members like to give a brief update on any of their subcommittee activities since our last meeting?
Yes, this is him. So I was supposed to be looking at the Rock Creek Trail project, Rock Creek Trail continuing on to Mutzger area, crossing 99. And I talked to some people. Sean gave me some directions, and I talked to some people. This was originally part of Southwest Corridor project, and that apparently is on a hold at best. So there is no funding available for that, and currently looks like ODOT will have to act on it if something has to happen, and most likely they are not likely to provide any new funding. So the 68th, there is a crossing on 68th, there's a light on 68th Street. That probably is the most likely area where we can cross over. But also at this time, I couldn't find any contact on the Mutsker community. So we have to work with them. But I don't know what their plans are. And I'll continue to work on that. That's about what I have.
Thanks, Sam. And on my assignment was to ask some questions of TriMet regarding what sounds like our soon to be finalized consolidation of the 93 and 94 bus lines. And I haven't yet gotten responses to my questions about what I inquired about, which was whether there were going to be, what the sort of express status was going to be, because the 94 was an express line, times and hours, issues around crowding, and timing around events. So I'll get back to folks on the commission when I have more info. Elise, go ahead.
Also, the new light 72nd Avenue coming out of the Wall Street development is going to be going active pretty soon. If it hasn't already, I only go that way a couple times a month. So if you do use 72nd Avenue, then watch for the new light. It's just a few blocks down the street. It's about a quarter mile, half a mile down the street from the Hunziker 72nd intersection. And that's the one that the street loops around from Wall Street all the way up alongside the residential community, parallel to the creek, and then comes up on 72nd as a way for industrial vehicles and other traffic to flow in and out of the area.
Great, thanks, Elise. Kate, go ahead.
Is this also the time for liaison reports? Is this kind of subcommittee and liaison report?
I actually noticed that liaison reports aren't on the agenda tonight, but if there are any, go ahead.
Well, Tim, I don't know if you want to talk about, we did have a urban renewal matching grant review meeting. The building where oh gosh, it's been a long day. I'm very sorry. The Italian restaurant used to be, has been purchased, and there is a business that's going to be going in there, a salon and spa, really high-end, a second location for a woman who also has one in Oregon City. So we did vote to approve that matching grant for, it would be internal, not facade, but internal improvements. Tim, you may have something else to add.
Yes, I like you. You did a good job there, Kate. The only thing I would add is that business owner seemed like a person who was very excited to be coming to downtown Tigard. She kind of sought it out there, and the property manager she's renting from in Oregon City actually bought the building for her so she could put her business in there. So it sounds like she's got pretty good business skills there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great news. Thank you for sharing that. Ham, go ahead.
So I wanted to add that later in a few months, city staff will be starting a work on alignment study of the Red Rock Creek Trail, and maybe we should request them to give us a presentation once they have a framework ready to be presentable framework.
That's a great idea. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's you and I touch base offline about who we could bring in to do that, Hem.
Oh.
Or Sean, either one. Talk to me or talk to Sean.
Yeah, I was planning on bringing them in once that project starts up.
Awesome. Okay, any other subcommittee updates? I guess we can just roll any liaison reports in at this time too, while we're at it. I'll just add something from the Tcac. I'm not the liaison, but Joe shared their agenda with me, and there have been some modifications required on the Main Street Green Street Phase 2 project at the intersection of Main and Scoffins, regarding, I think it's the turning radius required there, that will essentially eliminate the landscape median that was proposed in the Main Street right of way. I think I have that right, but so just a
That's right.
Thanks, Joe. Just a design modification there that will impact the look and feel of that and the function, but probably not a terribly huge deal. So thanks for sharing that, Joe. Any other subcommittee updates at this time? We've kind of dug into a bunch of subcommittee content, it feels like, tonight already, so that's been great. Not surprised we don't have a whole lot else to discuss at this point. So hearing none and seeing no hands, we'll move to. Oh, go ahead,
I have
John.
a quick one. Sorry to jump in. Sorry, I'm trying to. I have some reason both this committee and the TTAC were on the same night, so I have both going at the same time. So I'm in between both of them. There is with Explore Downtown Tigers, the TDA. And someone may have mentioned this already. Sorry if I'm repeating this, but in the next month, I think it is, there's going to be a visit the restaurant, some kind of promotion going on where you can either get discount stamps or something. So it might be good just to keep an eye out on the Explore Downtown Tigard social media, or looking at that, because there's going to be some kind of a big push to get people to come to the restaurants and frequent them. I know we got a mention to us at council last night, but I'm not sure exactly how the program is and where it works, but I think it's all month long in May. I don't know if you've heard anything about that, Sean.
Just what you reported. That's as much as I know.
Okay. So just that'd be a great idea for everyone to take a look at that and share it. That way we can just get during these times more people frequently the businesses.
Thanks, Counselor. Elise?
This is just an update. The farmers market opens off of Burnham Street on May 2nd.
Woohoo!
So I was going to let everybody know to come support them, please. Thank you.
That's great. That's a good sign of spring right there. Okay. I think we'll move on to our non-agenda item. Derek, would you like to just go ahead and take it away?
All right, I think I'm on. There we go. I've been dropping in and out of the meeting. I think it's my internet connection. Anyway, just want to go over some of the pains we're experiencing down here. I've been talking with other business owners on main streets about the parking situation. If I don't know if any of you come on down to the side of the streets at night. I know I don't want to be a city that just shuts down at 5 o'clock and everyone's home in order to encourage business. And,
Derek, it might be better if you turn off your video.
Parking is kind of essential for what we do. Oh, okay.
Just for bandwidth purposes.
All right. Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we did.
Making sure we're using correct.
Scott, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I know. I've also been kind of coming in and out multiple times tonight, so I'm not sure if anybody else has. I was just confirming that I've been subject to that also.
Thanks. Derek, are you with us still?
I can maybe run across the street and see if he's still there. He can certainly come over to the pub across the street and use my internet if that's what it takes to
That's
get.
nice of you, Chris.
I'm just
Or
gonna
have
pop
him
off.
call in on the number. There's a call-in line number only where you can call in and just talk on this phone. That would work too.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, I see Derek came back.
Yeah, I'm not able to chat with him either.
Thanks.
Joe, are you there? Is there a way you can tell Derek that we can't hear him?
I can email him. I don't know if you'll see it, but I'll email him.
Well, if folks can just sort of stand by for a minute or two, that would be great.
Elise has her hand up.
Elise, go ahead.
If Derek is talking about the parking at the south end of Main Street, that's been an ongoing issue with all the successful businesses that have been in the area. And nighttime parking, especially with evening restaurant hours, etc., pub hours being very popular, as well as residents living in the area. It's a difficult situation. It gets very crowded down there. And we just keep encouraging people to use the parking lot, the public parking lot that's available, which is currently crowded behind the Main Street restaurants off of Burnham, and park in the Main Street apartment driveway if you can on the east side. But there isn't much parking in that area, so it's a difficult situation. Or you can go across the highway and park on Johnson Street in my neighborhood.
Derek, do we have you back yet by chance? Well, I hate to miss the opportunity to discuss this important topic with Derek, who has brought it to us. Chris, do you want to weigh in as another business owner right across the street that's obviously seeing the effects of this situation? And Kate has her hand up too, so we'll go to Kate next.
Yeah, okay. I can certainly speak to what I've talked to Derek about. I think my particular situation is different than some of the other people because I have my own parking lot out back. But what I've heard from a number of other people is that a lot of my customers end up either across the street over, in that Senate area, as well as over in the Curiosities parking lot, and all those other businesses that are over there. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing to kind of mitigate that is put up some more signage inside of my own business to try and get people back to that parking lot, because there's certainly a lot of people that don't know that it's back there for whatever reason. So I'd like to see what that kind of does to everybody else's situation. But long term, I think the worry is that the new development over across the street for Ava is simply going to have 25% or something of the parking necessary, and that it's going to spill out to all of the rest of us, and that we don't have any way to put that many cars down here. So I think that's the risk that we're taking as business owners right now, and since we're also on this commission, kind of need to bring up and get some other people talking about what can be done to help mitigate that, because certainly a business is significantly impacted if people try to park and simply can't get into a place. They'll go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's my experience anyway.
Thanks, Chris. That's super helpful. Kate, go ahead, and then it looks like we've got Derek back. So.
Oh, never mind. My suggestion was going to be that if we could not get him back, that we at least ask him to put together an email, because I really would love to hear what he has to say. But if he's back, then we're good.
Looks like he's back. Go ahead, Derek.
I'm happy to do this over email as well. Yeah, I'm sure Chris went through it. I just want to make sure that as we're making suggestions and trying to help guide, I would hate for this to happen to businesses that we're investing a lot of money in, especially in the Triangle. With some of these, you can look around mine and Chris's business. There's 15 parking spots in front of us, 7 within a half a block away, and 16 a block away. And I'm sure Chris told you our concerns over not having enough parking for residents in the new ABA building, and with their customers in and their employees. And then if you look over at the park, there are 24 parking spaces on the street around the new park that we're putting in, and 14 in a parking lot that are
I think we lost you again, Derek, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we can recommend that he brings this up for next month's meeting as a discussion and to bring up proposals. And that way it could become an agenda item.
Yeah, that would be great. And I think maybe, Derek, if you can hear us in the meantime, maybe an email in advance of next month's meeting, just describing the situation. And Chris did do a nice job of laying out the concerns from his perspective. It might just enable us to have a more meaningful discussion of, possible solutions. Tom, go ahead.
Thank you. Sean, it's my recollection that at some point in the past, there was a downtown parking survey conducted, the upshot of which, the focus was not the south end of Main Street by any means. My recollection is that there was really a pretty substantial supply of parking in downtown Tigard within the district. The problem was one, distribution, and two, that a goodly portion of it was in private hands rather than being shared. Am I making this up? And if there was something like this, do you think it can be unearthed and checked to see if it still has any currency?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have, we did a survey and a extensive parking management plan, but that is getting kind of old at this point and predates the location of a lot of our successful businesses down there, especially the southern half. So we were actually, planning to do an update of that plan. And then COVID hit, and then we figured that would not make a lot of sense to do a survey under abnormal circumstances. So we do plan to update that parking management plan, which has involved doing an actual survey of how many parking spaces are occupied and even how long people are staying there. But we don't want to do that until after things are a little more normal down there, particularly with the restaurants and drinking establishments that were most impacted by COVID. So once that happens, we can update that. And I do understand. I've heard from a couple other business people too that they're concerned about the AVA project, particularly residents parking on the street all day, and we absolutely do not want to see that happen. Those on-street spaces are for customers, and we do have a 2-hour limit down there that most people respect, and we would have the ability to not easily, but we have in the past stepped up enforcement, and that can definitely happen again. And we can also take a look at adjusting the hours that 2-hour limit is in place. That would further discourage residents who want to park on the street all day. So we're definitely thinking about it. We do want to update that parking management plan and a new survey that reflects the new healthy business environment down there.
Thanks, Sean. Councilor Goodhouse?
I can kind of jump in a little too, because I've been talking to a lot of the businesses downtown last month or two, and just over the time, but and kind of know a bit like what Derek was going to say, and Chris, and also just talking to everyone. I think the concern is as Sean said, there's an outdated parking study that was done, but also didn't really look at segments. I think it took a look at other areas that might be open, but were further distances away from businesses. And when that was done, places like Cooper Mountain wasn't really as going as much as it was. Senate, all these other places weren't in place. And also, as Sean mentioned, there was the look to start doing the parking permits or the passes for people that employees have designated areas where employees can park. But the other concern too that's going to have to be looked at, and this is something this committee can take a look at, is that if we do the parking enforcement, that's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, that isn't taken into account in the evenings and the weekends. And so the fear might be is if you get more living down there, what if someone parks their car on Friday night and doesn't move it till Monday morning? Well, they're taking up all the spots. And I think a lot of studies have been done looking during the daytime, but we're getting into more of a nightlife in downtown Tigard in the evenings and the weekends. And if someone can't find a parking spot to come down there and there's no parking enforcement or enough parking spaces to go on in there, then the problem is do businesses stay there? Do they leave? A lot of the businesses are looking at, do they want to stay there? Do they want to scale down? Do they want to move their operation? Do they want to maybe expand to elsewhere? So really, the big problem is a good one that people are wanting to come down Tigard, but we're wanting to look at what we're going to do for any kind of a parking plan, enforcement, what hours they are, and even if it's maybe a shuttle to the new parking structure if we get that. But that's some of the concerns from the business people down there is already there's not enough parking or parking spaces for people to park, and they're already seeing a problem, and it's during COVID times.
Thanks, Councilor. I was going to point out that it seems like a good problem to have if the inverse would be too much parking and not enough people, but that doesn't seem to be where we're at. So that's good. Can I ask where the parking structure that I've heard mentioned a number of times is envisioned for, or are there sites that have been looked at for that parking structure, Sean?
Yeah, it would be part of the new city facility. So Burnham and Hall, it would be open to customers and employees of downtown businesses, not just employees of the city.
But a ways away from Main Street, sounds like.
Yeah, Burnham and Hall. I mean,
yeah,
it's not that far, but it is not right across the street either.
Right. Okay, well, Derek appears not to be with us anymore. Elise, go ahead.
I was going to ask Sean a question. Is there any enforcement in the Metro parking lot? The Metro-owned parking lot by the MAX train for weekend hours when MAX is not, when the West train, I'm sorry, is not in use? Is there any enforcement going on for that by Metro?
By TriMet? No,
TriMet,
not,
yeah.
not that I know of. Don't,
because I know we talked
take that
about
to the bank.
we should have some sort of use of that facility on weekends as overflow.
Yeah, I think people do seem to use that, and I don't believe there's any enforcement. But don't blame me if you get a ticket there.
I mean, even during the week, it's probably a COVID factor at this point, but I mean, it's very sparsely used even during the week right now.
Ryan, I was going to add that before COVID, I felt that the park and ride back there was very scarcely used as well. And I know we can't do something with it, but maybe if we could allow people to park back there. And I also wanted to say if maybe the city, we could maybe invest in parking signs, because I feel I go downtown Tigard quite often. I feel there's quite a bit of places to park. You just may have to walk a little bit, which fosters, our goal of making Tigard the most walkable city in the Northwest. So I really don't mind walking. I like it. But maybe we would have to kind of create some conversation around that in that specific area.
No, that's a good idea, and we, our last parking management plan did recommend that, and for a while we were distributing maps showing where customers could go other than Main Street, commercial and Burnham, where there's no time limits. But yeah, more signage directing people to where parking is more available on those busy times of day on Main Street.
Good discussion, and sorry Derek wasn't here to hear all of it, but he instigated it, so thanks, Derek. Let's plan on taking it up again either next month or at a future meeting, and I'll touch base with Derek and see if he can provide a little bit more of his own perspective on the matter in advance of that, whenever it might happen. Any non-agenda items that we already covered those. Sorry, I guess we're done. Unless anyone else has anything they want to add.
Can I make a quick suggestion? If it's going to be an agenda item, can someone be invited from the TDA also? I know it's a big concern for the TDA, and they've been talking to the city as well. So if you're going to have an agenda item regarding parking, could the TDA be looped in as well?
Yeah, that'd be great, Councilor Goodhouse. And sure, between you and Sean, you probably know who that would be. Who the right person to invite to that would be.
Perfect.
So,
appreciate it.
Leave that to you too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, I think we will adjourn the meeting. 1 minute late, but thank you all for your time and energy, and look forward to conversing with you all next month. And hopefully, one of these days, we'll get to see each other in person. Maybe over the summer, we could schedule a walkabout of some sort, maybe in the Triangle or downtown.
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, take care, everyone. Be safe, be healthy, enjoy the sun, and thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.